Morning, y'all. I think I've decided that I'm going to call my vlog about this physical stuff Story of Bones, which feels nice and fitting considering that I'm a Capricorn sun and Capricorn rules the bones and joints and stuff like that. It's funny, I was talking with a friend the other day about that. Um, who's a fellow Capricorn, and we were discussing knee problems because Capricorn also rules the knees as a more specific area of the body than just the bones, and the different fun stuff that we've always had with like kneecaps going in and out of place and things like that. For me, the one of the hard things about my back being so out of whack is that my right kneecap has lost cartilage over the years, which is one of the reasons why I was looking at different kinds of arthritis that could be affecting these old bones and trying to get the allopaths to look at that. And they wouldn't. Whatever. It's either a lack of experience or kind of I want to say like being muscled by the insurance and government to not. I the unfortunate thing is there's a lot of ageism, and especially in allopathy, and so like when they did Obamacare, this is one of the things that kind of I thought it would get a lot of people like wanting to read the bill when I got into it. I read it, all 2,000 pages. It took me over a week to get through all of them, making notes like I was doing some history report in college. And one of the things it talked about is like there's an age range of like expendables, and those were the people that they were expecting could most pay, either pay a larger amount for insurance or pay the tax penalty if they didn't have insurance. And I am right in that age range. And we're not supposed to be, we're supposed to be the expendables, the ones that are young and healthy and either get insurance and pay that way and pay for others who are not expendable, or pay the tax penalty and pay for people that way. Um, I'm still looking into that because that's what my intuition says is the reason why it's I've always had kind of that you're too young to have this happen kind of thing. And I was talking to a few people the other day going, what sucks is, I mean, I'm that hippie sort who doesn't really like going to doctors much in the first place, and I like my teas and my herbs, and I like to go and forage for things, and I have a nerdy love for going through my herbal encyclopedias and doing teas and tinctures and things like that, and doing different exercises to try to like take care of things myself. I've taken care of a lot of things myself. So when I go to a doctor, I've already gone past the what can I do conservatively at home. I've already gone past Tylenol and ibuprofen, which are not my favorite things to take unless you have to, kind of thing. And when I get to a doctor, it's like, okay, there's a problem, and it's been here for a while, and it's a problem I can't use conservatively. Now, as I was saying, I'm actually looking at the cobwebs of things like blame here, blame there, and I mean, there's somebody else had brought it up, and I was amused because I had already been looking at that, going, wow, like I fell right back into my old shadow work of either blame myself and nobody else, or find somebody or something else to blame all the way, like blame the doctors all the way. And there is a part of me that's still like, I don't know, usually when I get to the place to where I'm like, there's no reason to blame anybody. Everybody's got their own reasons, whether it's lack of experience or, some part of your job's at risk or something like that. Um, I'm good at just releasing it, but there's still a part of me that's kind of like, it's probably the resentment I still need to release at, like, going in and doing my own research and being a team and doing a lot of stuff that I knew was not great for me to be doing, was not the right direction to go. But I wanted to build, I wanted to be a team with my doctors, and I figured if they felt like something might work, it, at least I could do was try it And if it worked, great. If not, at least it was a rapport builder, like, okay, I'll listen to you, you listen to me. Unfortunately, it didn't really get the you listen to me in return part. And but I'm still grateful for the lessons of it, because like I was realizing the other day that for a lot of this, like I've healed a lot of anxious attachment in all the other areas of my life, and a lot of codependence. There's kind of codependent personality disorder, so to speak. It's not really called that, but I kind of liken it to that, because you don't necessarily have to have been partnered with an alcoholic or a drug addict or something like that to be codependent. In fact, a lot of people, it's just, if you had parents who had attachment traumas and things like that, and they're codependent, even if they've not had alcoholics or anything in their family or as their partners, you can still develop that. And so it's kind of its own personality dysfunction. And I've swept out a lot of shadows and a lot of cobwebs in most of the rest of the areas of my life, with friends, with clients, even with viewers, and with relationships, with my DM and stuff like that. But I had not done it with doctors. And it actually made me realize this last time coming around, because at one point, my allopath's nurse called. It was after the fourth time I went to the ER, and because I was having really, really bad dizziness and confusion, and I was like, something not right here. This has been going on hours. Like, all I did was bend over and get on, and get down to help my youngest kiddo with his Xbox. And when I got up, I mean, it hurt really bad, but then I got really dizzy. The weird thing is like, it almost was like I disassociated from the pain a little bit. Like, it was still there and it still sucked, but when I was dizzy and felt like I might faint, or like, I don't know, it was kind of in and out of my body, for a lack of a better way to put it. I couldn't feel the pain so much, but it was very disconcerting to feel like that. And after that one, I think my allopath may have either been in trouble or be getting in trouble, because if your patient keeps going back to the ER, you're clearly not doing something to help them, or they don't feel like they can go to you. And what they did in the hospital was give me a shot of Toradol. And I tell you what, it's funny, because doctors in any place can get in a fair amount of trouble for not telling you what potential side effects may come when they offer you a medicine. And I've yet to find one other than my naturopath that actually, without me having to ask or anything, says, so I want to offer you this. These are some potential side effects, this and that. I want you to watch for this. These ones are reasonable. We'll try to put up with them. These ones are not reasonable. We'll stop it immediately if this happens. But everybody else is just kind of like, here, take this. And I usually do my research, but when I was in the ER, like, I knew that Toradol was an anti-inflammatory. I hadn't done my research on it yet, but I knew it was there, and I just thought, whatever you think, I assumed that they assumed it was because I was in a lot of pain that I was really, really dizzy, and my blood pressure was like all over the place. And so they gave me that, and it was a shot in the butt cheek, and that stung so bad. Oh man, it stung so bad. The unfortunate thing is it did nothing for my back pain, but it did take away my right knee pain. I haven't had a day where my right knee did not hurt. I mean, even like, I use K-tape a fair amount. If any of you have, bum knees, K-tape is really helpful, especially if it gets stuck rubbing against the bone or anything like that. You can use K-tape to kind of get it slowly back into place without a lot more erosion. And if you're having like just a lot of pain, you can kind of use it to kind of lift it a little bit without pulling it out of place or hurting it more. It's a really nice conservative way to deal with that. But I'd kind of just, I just lived with that. Like, that's not a big horrible thing. I have some rubs I can put on it and things like that. And, it's, I much prefer to, there's going to be discomforts that you get when you get older. You can't just, pain is a part of life, in the sense that when you have some pains, at least you're still alive, right? If you gotta, you wouldn't feel pain if you didn't have a body that you were having a human experience in. Anyways, I'm not exactly sure what all I'm going to use this vlog for. I figure part of it'll kind of be a log of how things are going and some thoughts about different things. Working on progress of stuff like the smoking is kind of my since I can't work too much on my weight right now, and my goal was to pick like do one thing at a time because I can with my ADHD I can get pretty gung ho, and then I'm like I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, I've learned chunk it down to like 2 or 3 things and put that energy into those things, and then work on the next thing. So I was working mostly on my weight, and I figure since I can't do a whole lot with that right now, I'm gonna work on my smoking, especially because some of the meds that my naturopath has me taking do kind of increase some of the ADHD stuff and the desire to smoke. And so I'm going, okay, so like what I found has worked really well in the past is like don't carry the pack of cigarettes on you at all times. Like if it's right there and you're stressed, it's easy to go to it. So instead, like I'll put like 2 or 3 in my pocket, and I'll leave the pack somewhere that's not inaccessible, because right now inaccessible is unacceptable, but somewhere that takes a little more effort to get to, so that it's like if I'm sitting and I'm comfortable, I would much rather sit comfortably and not smoke than to go through the effort of going to get the pack, right? Same thing with lighters or matches or whatever things you do. The less